On That Dead Body Show, we talk about death and murder, and at times, we may use explicit language.
Hey guys. Happy Day of the Dead.
Dio-de-los-muertos.
To start this week, we want to say thank you to the fans that have already found and supported our new Patreon.
Sneaky little devils, investigators. That's what they are.
Well, one of them's that's kind of her job.
Oh, that's true.
We're looking at you, Nikki T.
Thank you, Nikki T. and Ashley Berry.
Ashley Berry is just a really awesome fan already.
Thank you, Ashley. We are working on some tiers, so you early birds, don't worry. We're going to retroactivate those perks for y'all. Make sure you get what's coming to you.
Well, that sounded like a threat.
It's a promise.
So,
if any of you want to become a patron, you can help out with as little as $1 a month. The price of a cup of coffee.
You could feed. You could feed this child.
Or the puppies. The puppy ones hurt me. So if any of you want to become patrons, you can help out with as little as $1 a month. Go to our page over there, patreon.com/thatdeadbodyshow. That's Patreon with an E, patreon.com/thatdeadbodyshow. No spaces.
That sounded really close to bull.
No, don't do that. I get all my chills in half body.
Anyway, so that will also help with
our investigative techniques.
Our son is currently dying to death.
And equipment upgrades. We'll use that money for equipment upgrades and of course paying for the perks that we'll offer you guys. If you'd like to just go straight to the horse's mouth, I guess you can go over to TeePublic. We have some limited edition merchandise we're putting out over there. If you guys, we'll post links on all our social media to that.
Also, if you guys will go over to iTunes and like us, subscribe, and leave us a review, not just for us, but for any of your podcasts that you like, it really helps to make sure all of us are easier to find and recommended.
Find us on social media, all social media, That Dead Body Show. On Twitter, we're on there as TDBS Podcast. And stay tuned at the end of the show. We'll be doing some housekeeping other than what we just did. We did a lot of housekeeping there.
Yeah, we did.
And
can't that be enough housekeeping?
Right. And we will be playing some promos from podcasts that we like. I guess that was a promo, right?
Super promo.
So it's the Day of the Dead episode, so we're going to do a Halloweeny. We're going to get a little Halloweeny and do a Halloweeny type case. Okay. Halloweeny is not a word. What is now?
Yes, it is. You have it on your shirt.
Right. So, Halloween night, 1963, Haddonfield, Illinois. Judith Myers is murdered by stabbing by her 6-year-old brother, Michael. What? What's wrong? He goes to the Illinois State Hospital for 15 years where he doesn't say anything. He's... Is there a problem?
I'm pretty sure this is not what we were talking about this week.
Oh, wait. Yeah. Oh, wait. No. I'm sorry. This is for the movie review podcast. This is for the movie review podcast that we were going to talk about starting. I'm sorry. I'm on the right page now.
Okay, so in reality, our case does start on Halloween. However,
why do you want to bring reality into this?
Because so it's on Halloween of 2004. 3 roommates go to bed at about 11 after watching TV and handing out candy. And only one will be alive at sunrise the next morning on November 1st.
The Day of the Dead.
The Day of the Dead.
Literally.
Or as our son says, literally.
Are we cutting your eyes over here, Junior?
Anyway, cue those creepy kids.
ashes, ashes, we are dead.
Welcome to episode 10, Napa Valley Nightmare. Come and listen to a story about a Napa Valley homicide. No, I'm joking.
I mean, kind of. Okay, so in June of 2004, two friends... I'm probably going to butcher names, so I'm sorry.
I have a hot problem with her first name, not her last name.
Adriane?
But it doesn't look like Adriane.
It looks like Adriane.
It's got the E on the end, but it's not two N's, so it bothers me. But nevertheless, Adriane
Insogna. And Lauren Mianza.
Yes, they were looking for a roommate to fill a void because, times are rough.
In California.
Right. So they find someone to fill the void.
And I don't know if it ever tells how they found her.
Well, I mean, you would think.
I never had roommates.
They're probably wine drinkers.
Probably.
They met her. Leslie-mazzara, the roommate that they did choose to let move in with them, was a recent transplant from South Carolina. She had broke up with a boyfriend there and moved to Napa Valley to be closer to her mom. She was Miss Williamson, South Carolina. I guess that's a title vying for Miss South Carolina.
Well, kind of like Miss Shelby County, I guess. I don't know. I mean,
she was a beauty queen.
Well, hold up. First of all, do I look like I fucking know shit about pageants?
No.
Okay.
So she was a beauty queen, Miss Williamson, and she did a lot of good things. As she was,
did you say she raised some money?
Sparkling. She raised money for an abused child, almost like a halfway house for abused children, where when they take them out of homes. I guess.
I know that they showed on one of the things, one of the crime shows. When she was doing her little speech, or I don't say little speech, but
I saw a news article where she
when they ask the contestants questions like, what are your thing, like what are you thing. She was talking about you never expect people to hurt children. It's like a small clip, but I mean
and she raised money for an abused child, an abused children's home. She was like a bubbly girl. Of course, most pageant women are pageant girls. I don't know. I feel weird saying girls. Pageant people are usually bubbly. She
definitely was.
Got a job immediately at the Coppola Winery in Napa Valley,
which is probably how they all met. But who knows?
Probably so.
But it wasn't Francis Ford Coppola's.
One. Yeah, the Coppola Winery. I can't remember the other name, but it's to get a public relations type position. I believe she may have been a greeter, but I mean that's where you start. Immediately like that is it does attest to how her personality was. Adriane Insogna, she I know had great aspirations. She became a civil engineer. She went to college, became a civil engineer.
After when she was 16, she was in a really bad wreck.
Right. She actually cheated death.
Yeah. She was really seriously competitive. So I'm guessing that after the wreck, she took that as a challenge, to get better. She had issues with short-term memory loss after that and issues reading. So to me, who I'm addle-brained as it is, for her to go on and to get her degree and, go to college and get a civil engineer degree, I think is awesome.
And the third roommate, Lauren Mianza, she was a volleyball coach at a local community college. That's about all that's known about her.
Well, she in everything, whenever she's interviewed, she's in silhouette. So I'm guessing that she wanted to not be talked about. So everything's going good. Everybody's getting along. I think there was one article somewhere that said something about they hadn't really had guests over, and then
a few weeks before this, a few days before this happened,
Leslie brings a guy home,
and they had to be subjected to the sounds of pleasure. all night long.
That's just rude.
All night.
I'm just saying, that's just rude.
All night long.
If you have roommates,
all night.
be quiet.
I'm sorry. Oh, you're talking about if you have roommates.
I mean, would you not think if you had roommates, like, because
Yeah.
the house wasn't really big, and I mean, I know Lauren's room was downstairs, and Leslie and Adrian's. I mean, that's just rude.
I try to not to let the dogs know.
I know.
I mean,
I'm just
right?
saying, but I mean, like, anyway. So, up until, I mean, that, they really hadn't had any guests over. It was kind of like just those three. I guess they would go to other people's
But they
houses.
decided after talking about after the night
Yeah.
of the sounds of pleasure that they would allow each of everyone had their own room, everyone had their own life.
I just think there would be rules, though, like, be quiet. I mean, not quiet, but you know what I'm saying.
I'm sure that was probably part of it.
God, I hope so. Anyway.
So that night, they'd gone to bed early. I think all of them were in bed by 11 p.m.
Yeah.
Around 2 a.m., just before 2 a.m.
Lauren. Okay, so guys, just to be clear, the names.
The names are
They're both LMs.
Right.
There's two of the three are LM, and it's gonna
Right.
yeah.
So Lauren is awakened by her dog barking and the security light going on in the carport.
I get it, yeah. And she thinks it's Leslie's boyfriend again.
Right. She hears the window open. She hears somebody coming in, so she's like, what's going on? Probably Leslie Ann's boyfriend again. Great. Another night of the sounds of pleasure.
Oh, and I bet she went to her bed and put her pillow over her head, and she was like, fuck this.
Great.
Here we go again. Until she heard screams, but not of pleasure.
Right. The kind of like, help me screams.
I think she said, oh my God, help me.
Help me, please.
Help
Please
me.
help me.
Please help.
Something.
Something along those lines, yeah.
Someone asking for help.
And I don't think it was the...
It wasn't the, oh my God, that you think of when you
Right.
think of the sounds of pleasure.
I guess you're going to say that the rest of the fucking show. Anyway, so...
I'll say it one more time and then I'll stop.
Okay. So...
The sounds of pleasure.
So, it not being the...
Sounds of pleasure. I was only going to say
She
it one
sticks
more
her
time.
head out the door.
And like, what's going on out there kind of thing. I don't know, is this real?
Yeah. And it's still Halloween, too.
Right.
I mean, she could have thought it was a movie or...
Right.
Which, I mean, I don't know what their, house rules as far as, like... And I say house rules, but, I don't know if they each had a
just did
TV in their
have
room. Yeah.
a whole night of the sounds of pleasure.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like, if you each had a TV in your room, or if there was one TV,
Right.
so what if somebody was in there watching a horror movie? I mean,
All
you
right.
could have thought it was a horror movie. But,
She decides it's not. She runs to the backyard, out the back sliding door,
and hides.
and hides. She hears the person, or she hears someone come out of the house
Through the same window.
through the same window in the kitchen, and she goes back inside to investigate.
And that's when she goes upstairs and finds both of her roommates. One of them already dead, and one of them
Clinging to life.
And she grabs her cell phone. No, she tries to call through the house phone 911.
And the line is dead. It has been cut.
So she grabs her cell phone and kind of does the smart thing and
I don't
leaves.
know. I find that weird. I just find it weird that she heard the guy leave. I mean, I guess, well, he got in once, I guess, but...
I mean, her
I can't
line of thinking probably is he has to know
Stay
I'm here.
moving, stay alive.
Or something like that. I mean,
Right.
she gets in her car and she drives away and she calls 911. But you have to stop and think, these are three young women. And I say young, I mean, they're younger than 30.
Right.
I mean,
right.
to her, what if he decided to come back? What if he heard her go back in? I mean, I
Right.
can see her
He's
line of
already
thinking.
half killed and killed one of them.
Right. So she calls the police and she tells them, they're dead. I don't know if she says they're both dead or dying, but she says there's blood everywhere. She tells the police, please hurry. Police arrive. She goes back to the house. They find Leslie already dead in the floor, and Adriane is barely alive and in the
I believe
corner in the
she dies in the ambulance.
she dies in the ambulance, but she's in Leslie's room. Though.
Right,
That's my point.
She is like crouched behind Leslie's bed. I'm guessing probably on the other side by the wall side.
Right.
You know?
Okay. But she does pass on the way to the hospital, so now it's a double homicide. Nobody can figure out who would have done this, why they would have done it. No clues.
But from looking at what went on and how the bodies were positioned and everything, the police have decided that someone came in to attack Leslie, and that Adriane
Came to help her. They find
blood on the window,
blinds.
on the blinds, or on the windowsill, going out of the kitchen, his entry and exit point.
And they find Camel Turkish Gold cigarette butts outside.
Right,
So-
in close proximity to the window.
Yeah,
Right.
so they deduce that he's been out there to smoke at least I think it was 2 or 3 at least.
A couple cigarettes.
Yeah, they said multiple times they said a couple. So he's been out there for a minute being Stalky McStalkerson outside the window.
It takes about at least 4 to 5 minutes to smoke a cigarette. I think, remembering from being a smoker, even power smoking one in
I was
3
about to
minutes.
say, yeah.
So 10 minutes he was out there. I would at least wager.
Right. Okay. So they also find under Adriane's nails
Skin.
Was it skin or blood or skin?
Yes, Matt. Yeah, skin from her attacking him.
And so they obviously, collect everything, and they find out that the blood on the windowsill or the blinds and the matter under her nails match. So they know the same part, obviously, which but of course they have to test it to make sure.
And they send off the cigarette butts
Yes.
for DNA analysis, because I'm guessing that, I would think it takes longer when you don't have
Yeah, I couldn't
cells.
figure that out, I guess.
Well, I've seen, they tear up the cigarette butt and
Right.
they put it in the liquid.
I
and
just
they,
never, even when this story first aired, forever ago on
didn't-
Forensic
it
Files, it
didn't
never
catch.
but it did slightly because you hear it, but it never really tells how they got once.
the blood, I'm guessing it's matter. You have,
Yeah, I guess so.
they have to do the
Spinning the
where they make more. What is it?
God
Right.
that
Yeah.
with the thing. Yeah. Anyway, so as we previously talked about just literally a minute or two ago, everybody assumes Leslie is the target because
So they investigate every man in her life. An ex-boyfriend that she had broken up with before leaving South Carolina, as I mentioned earlier. He was a lawyer, and his father was a lawyer.
yeah, they were
So-
a junior, senior.
And his father, I keep
Called her all the time,
his
like
father,
a creeper,
yeah, like creep-o, and called her
and berated her
a couple of times that
night.
day.
Yeah, that day and that night.
Right.
And they said that she had gotten to where he called so much to berate her for breaking up with his son that she just wouldn't answer the phone anymore.
But the fact that he called her beforehand seemed creepy.
Right.
And that was part of the reason I believe that she left him.
Because of the dad?
Yeah. Because it
I
got
mean, probably
kinda,
so. That's way before Susan Powell, but creepy dads are creepy. But so in the end, they clear both the father and the son. They willingly give DNA,
Right.
and they don't match. They
take 100.
two-
Over 100.
200. 200 DNA samples
Right.
and send them all off.
Hundreds.
And they did over 1,000 interviews
Right. With
in the 11 months after.
In Leslie-Mazzara's
Yeah.
life.
Because they assumed that she was the target.
Right.
Which I think what they call that tunnel vision.
Right. That's how the husband gets convicted all the time. Lots of
No, it
innocent
really
husbands out
is.
there.
Because they did not even
No.
stop to think.
Once they decide who's guilty, all of their resources go towards proving that person's guilt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
But they can't decide who's guilty.
because of course, in their mind, Leslie Ann was the beauty queen and it had to be her. She was the one that was being stalked and blah, blah, blah. I mean, they...
So there had been... Yeah, and they were kind of, I guess, a little rusty in procedure because there had been no murders in Napa Valley in years.
Yeah.
Like almost 4 years.
Yeah, some said 2 and some said 4, but either way it had been years.
I actually believe it was almost 4 years. It was over 3 years, but the thing that I did see the thing that said 2. I don't know. Maybe they're...
Anyway,
so in the 11 months.
Yeah, they interview all these people. Nothing. I mean, they're clearing all these people left and right. And Adriane's best friend and coworker, who, I mean, she was really, really close with, was a girl named Lily.
Right. Lily Prudhomme.
Yes. And that name's always stuck out to me because it reminds me of...
Food.
Yes.
Cajun food.
Yes.
Paul Prudhomme.
Yes. That's why I always remember her name.
Right.
Because I'm fat. Anyway, so they were like really good friends and she was supposed to get married.
And this really tore, they had actually, her and Eric had broken, her fiance had broken up.
Or they had at least...
They were kind of taking a break. They'd put off their marriage plans.
Yeah, they were supposed to be married on November 1st.
That day of the murder, they had put off their marriage plans. After this murder, they decided life's too short to keep putting things off. I love you so much. And they get married.
Yes. And Adriane's mom
actually reads scripture.
Yeah. She comes and she participates in the wedding and
has to be from the Song of Solomon. It always is.
I think she actually says that in the interview. But also in the interview, Lily says, if we had went through with our first marriage plans, Adriane and Lauren would have been with them in Hawaii. So they would have never gotten murdered because they would have been with them.
Well, Lauren didn't get murdered anyway.
Well, yeah. But it wouldn't have happened. The whole, well, at least Adriane wouldn't have been murdered. So by the summer of 2005, all the DNA samples had come back from all the guys that they had taken, and none of them matched. And everybody had kind of been ruled out. And so a couple months later in September, they finally get back the DNA from the cigarette butts.
And it matches the DNA, the tissue from under her nails, from under Adriane's nails, and the blood from the window blinds in the kitchen. So the cigarettes were definitely from the killer. So
they actually announce that they know that the killer is a white male who was a smoker and that he smoked the Camel Turkish Gold brand. And so one particular person there in town flips his ever-loving shit and writes some suicide letters to his family. And in it, he goes on to say, I did a horrible thing and I'm not going to give the state the state or the government the pleasure of serving justice, or
I don't consider it suicide. I consider it justice served, something like that.
Right. So they go and they get him, and
so he doesn't die.
Yeah, so he doesn't die, and
he
so his
attempts
family
suicide.
I don't even think did he attempt, because I think they got to him before because he fucking mailed them, and I guess just was like, I'm going to sit over here and wait for somebody to stop me.
I mean, come on, he was depending on the postal service to get something there. It could have been weeks after he died, and he would have gotten it. But like, was on top of a rack, or
right. Yeah, I am confusion, as the meme says. Anyway, so
this person talks
his
it
family
over
member
with his family members and his wife.
Yes.
And decides to
turn himself in.
I'm so sorry, but a lot of people smoked the Turkish Gold brand. I believe they were the low end. They were like the get $1 off, buy a pack, get a pack free version of Camels.
My problem with this is, if you had a friend who you knew smoked this brand of cigarettes, would you not say, oh shit, smokes this?
Especially, I mean,
like
being involved if you were one of the friends.
I don't understand how nobody was like, oh.
Well,
hello?
Neither did Lily. Lily did an interview.
Right.
Where she seemed incredulous. 48 hours interview with Lily Prudhomme, came out where she didn't understand
why
how
nobody had been arrested and apprehended
before the DNA sample came back.
Yeah.
So before we reveal the killer, let's play Lily's interview.
Somebody out there knows something. Somebody would have had to notice a friend of theirs acting strange or, had bruises. It doesn't seem like somebody could just walk away from it and be fine.
So the reason that it just galls the fuck out of me, this interview, is because the person that they arrest is her husband, Eric, who, while she was giving that interview, was sitting in the same room with her and had married her and had Adriane's mom with her, at the wedding. And I believe you found somewhere where he gave money to a GoFundMe.
He gave $125. I cannot find it for the life of me now. I don't know where I saw it. He gave $125 to the GoFundMe for the money towards the capture and conviction.
Like the reward or whatever.
Right, the reward. And wrote this really nice long thing. I mean, fairly long for here's some money. You will be missed. And
that's
all
what
of
guilt does. I mean.
But it does go to show you that, you can't tell. He had had no trouble with the law.
He was quiet and shy.
He was just like your regular average everyday Joe. He worked for a land surveying company.
Yeah.
Just did nothing. He was like,
Dexter says hi.
He's totally the typical, I never saw it coming. He was such a nice guy.
And I believe that in this one.
And
I
he's
really
like
do.
one of the only male snapped episodes,
I think he
believe.
is. I mean, there's guys on there sometimes where they get hired, but I think he's the only one that I know of. And if you guys know of anybody, let us know, because I'm curious. Because I'm sure
there's
I've missed
20 some odd seasons of Snap.
No, I know.
And I know we've probably
And
seen them all.
Do you know who originally narrated it? The daughter on Just Shoot Me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was the original narrator, for the first, maybe 7 seasons. Yeah. And then it went to this lady.
Right.
Anyway.
Standing in front of the green screen.
Yeah. Yes. Anyway, so, but he didn't even try to, have a trial. He just straight legit went in and was like, I'm pleading guilty. I'm a fucking monster, pretty much.
Right.
So this is 2 people in a row that we've done who were like, I'm a fucking monster. I gotta plead guilty.
And the fact that, okay, so he didn't go to trial. He pled guilty. He did receive a life sentence without the possibility of parole. He did forego the death penalty, I believe. I don't know. Did they have the death penalty?
I don't know. Fuck, they go back and forth in California. Right? No, because Charles Manson was on it, and then they took him off. Well, or not just him, but I thought
they didn't want to kill Charlie because then they wouldn't have had anything to blame all the things that go bump in the night on. Ooga booga booga booga.
Yeah, that
too. Sorry, those classic Charles.
Last Charlie.
Those classic Charlie episode interviews. So he pleads guilty, gets life without parole, and it's so horrible because I know he's remorseful from everything that, he spoke in court.
Yeah, and then Adriane's mom, of course, now she lost a daughter. I get it. You're kind of salty, or maybe a lot of salty. I don't know, folk. I don't know how I would feel, but she says that she doesn't believe he was remorseful for
what he did. He was remorseful that he got caught.
Well, yeah, she said I don't believe he's remorseful for us. I believe he's remorseful for himself, and I really don't think that's true. Yeah, he killed people and he was wrong for it, but I don't think he was.
This is another one of those selfish, borderline personality disorder type things, right?
Yeah.
Where it's
I don't even think it was necessarily borderline personality. I think that he was losing Lily, and I think he thought that they had something to do with it, and I think he stood outside that window, and I think he worked himself up, and he, may have been drinking. It was Halloween night.
That was the night that he had...
he knew he was supposed to be getting married to Lily the next day in Hawaii.
Right.
Which that means
he was stuck there, probably not on all that great of terms with her. I believe they were...
On a break, or whatever the fuck you call it.
Yeah, right. And...
I mean, I'm from the school where if we're together, we're together. You stuck with me, you don't have to go to bed, and we try again in the morning. I don't know about this break shit, so I think that's what these young people call it, a break.
Okay, so at his trial, he does give a speech.
And only the first minute was allowed to be recorded.
Right, so we're going to play the first part of his speech, and then we'll finish it off and tell you what he said.
I mean,
not the rest of it.
Not only does he do a speech, guys, but this guy's like fucking vocabulary is like on some T.I. level.
Right, he does.
This motherfucker is like, I mean,
it is very T.I. It is very T.I.
I think he called T.I. I bet he called T.I. and was like, "Hey, can you help me write this? Because I mean, it's out there."
So get your dictionaries ready, guys.
For real.
I am a broken man. Oh, sucks. A man splintered by a penetrating awareness of my own potential for wickedness. While I cannot fathom the full extent of the anguish I have caused, I recognize that my sinful deeds have inflicted terrific agony on a great number of people. The words evade me to articulate the depths of my sorrow.
So, as we said, the judge only allowed the first minute to be recorded by, I guess, all media, but by 48 hours. And he went on to say, "I was afraid my relationship with Lily, the singular ray of light in my black world, was in peril of collapsing." So
yeah.
I mean, he is that's what I'm saying.
Very articulate.
And I just don't think that obviously, he did kill 2 people. I am not justifying it.
He does seem like someone that could be rehabilitated.
Unless he possibly wasn't getting his way again.
Well, but because of his plea deal, he will spend the rest of his life in prison. Mm-hmm. He forfeited all rights to any
appeals
or clemency.
Now, okay, so obviously Adriane's mom got up there and pulled a Kelly Siegler and did the whole, she banged on and then you went in there and you stabbed her and you stabbed her and you stabbed her thing. And Lily got up and she spoke on behalf of Eric. And she said that she doesn't believe that the man who did what he did that night is the man that's in the courtroom. And I like we just said, have to agree with.
But she did also say that nothing that he could ever do would cause her to love him less, and then they aren't together now.
Well, I think she stayed married to him for 3 or 4 years. Right. But I mean,
she's actually in Europe.
I think that's what. Yeah, I found on one website where.
Well, or she went.
Went to the it says that she's in the UK and she's in a PhD program, but I don't think it said like what her. Right. No, it did. Forgiveness. Her fucking PhD is on forgiveness. Or her thesis, or whatever you have to do to get it, because, I mean, look.
Doctoral thesis.
Yeah, it's on forgiveness. Which, I mean, I could see that being a major role in her life. For real. I just would like to know, after her interview that she gave.
How dumb she fucking felt?
Yeah. I mean, he's literally
How could no one have noticed that someone... And then she's like...
Oh, fuck.
Wait a minute. Yeah.
Can you imagine the realization sitting in? Like, not only did he do it, but you sat there and you said that, and you're just like, somebody had to have noticed, but he was not acting funny. I mean, she was just so determined, because again, everybody was focused on it being Leslie. That was the main,
Right. Everyone thought that it was Leslie, but it wasn't.
Right.
Appearances can be deceiving sometimes.
Okay, guys, that's another one done.
Another one down.
Another one bites the dust.
So, thank you again, everyone, for your support. Glad you stayed listening. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram by searching That Dead Body Show, and on Twitter with the handle at TDBS Podcast.
Yeah.
We do have a new store open on TeePublic.
Right, and I'll post that. And actually, we've already had somebody buy a shirt while we were recording.
And check out our Patreon. We should have some tiers up in the next couple of days.
All right, guys, stick around for some promos for some of our favorite podcasts, All Crime No Cattle, Murderous Minors, and Ignorance Was Bliss. Bye, y'all.
Bye, guys.
Hi, true crime fans. I'm Erin.
And I'm Shay. We host All Crime No Cattle, a conversational podcast which focuses on true crime stories from the Lone Star State.
We strive to bring you a balanced and well-researched story about Texas cases big and small.
We do the research so you don't have to.
We also end every episode with a good news story, just to remind everyone that real life isn't quite as depressing as true crime can make it out to be.
New episodes drop every Thursday, and you can find us wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. All Crime No Cattle, because crime is bigger in Texas, y'all.
This is Murderous Minors, Killer Kids, bringing you the frightening and truly insane tales of children with the thirst to kill. Kindergarten through 12th grade murderers. True stories thoroughly researched. Join us weekly for new tales of parents' worst nightmares on Murderous Minors, Killer Kids.
Everybody has a story, and not all of those stories are clear black and white issues, even when we think they are. We wonder, how did this happen? Or what is that like? Or what happens next? Are you sure you really want to know? This is Ignorance Was Bliss at IWB Podcast.